Good morning, well, kind of morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going to that horrible world known as the JRC, but if you notice, I got kind of a rant to go on. So, Missouri GOP. Once again, targeting the drag queens here. Trying to gaslight the public into thinking that somehow these individuals are a threat to the children. Yeah, about that, right? I live here, okay? I live here in the third largest city in the state of Missouri, which has one of the largest drag populations in all the cities out here in this state. Let's talk about them, shall we? You want to know what these individuals do? They have one night, one, of the entirety of the week, where they go down to a place called Martha's Vineyard, and they have the drag shows. These happen at night, downtown. Explain to me again how they are targeting children. Because here's my question, Missouri. If you are so afraid they are grooming children, when they are mainly downtown, at night, in an area that's supposed to be predominated at that time by adults, what are you doing bringing children downtown on the weekends, at night? You all know what goes on down there. There's pub crawls, there's drunks, there's violent idiots. I know because I used to basically live downtown at night in my 20s. Okay? They are not lining up at your child's school for story time. And you know what? Even if they were, what the hell is the problem? Somebody in fantastic makeup wants to read your child a story. The horrors! Do y'all hear yourselves? Okay, do you actually hear yourselves? These individuals are not setting up poles in the middle of your kid's classroom and working it or twerking, okay? They have their night downtown. Some of them would like to participate in your community like the fucking rest of us. Are they doing adult things in there in those classrooms? No. They're sitting there in marvelous makeup and impeccable taste and fashion, simply wishing to read a story. How is this threatening? Meanwhile, you have full-out proven pedophiles with hard evidence and ER documents to back it up that are being aided, abetted, and protected at every goddamn turn of the way. Why is that? Because you allow them to hide behind Christianity. You allow them to use the cross as a shield. You see the difference here, don't you? These drag queens have never, ever, fucking once. I know because I live here and I watch the fucking newspapers everywhere. Have they ever had anything in the papers with the type of behavior that is being shown at places like Agape boarding school, or even of these other evangelical schools and church camps that are popping up everywhere? Never has anything popped up about that, like that, about one of them. And you're telling us you're doing it to protect the children. They're grooming the children. No, jackass. People are using your religion and turning it into a fucking mockery. And you are allowing it. You are helping them do it. These people are innocent. They have not harmed anyone. Anyone. Matter of fact, more often than not, girls in their young 20s, when they're at the drag shows and there's an individual acting a particular type of, shady, they are more likely to protect that individual as opposed to the so-called good Christians. I say this as one. You do not get to use Christianity as a shield for deplorable acts against children. And then you don't get to cover it up by attacking a group of people who are completely innocent and haven't done a damn thing wrong. You're simply doing to them, well, kind of what you do to all of us little people who don't fit into your little round pegs, round holes. You're trying to make it impossible for us to live here so that we'll leave and have our GOP fucking paradise. Where am I going to go, Karen? I don't exactly have a bunch of thousands of dollars it would take to move states. Okay? Some of us don't get a choice in the matter. I'm one of those individuals. So what I will do instead is point out the hypocrisy and just the level of violent stupidity out here in the state that I live in. Targeting these individuals as a means and a way to distract others from the heinous acts that people who use the term Christianity get up to. Your kid is under 1,000 times more threat being sent to a place like Agape, which is now Stone for Help, or like Kanakuk out in Minnesota, or any of the links of these so-called schools than they ever would be from any of these drag queens. I can promise you that. They don't care about protecting the kids. Because if they did, these schools would have been shut down years ago. You allow them to run without even official state accreditation, I might add. They get a free pass because, but churches have been used as starting points for human atrocities and crimes against humanity for at least 2,000 years now. Once again, I say this being one. I don't blind myself to the atrocities that have been committed in the name of that religion simply because of my own faith and beliefs. And I will call it out. So that was something I was dealing with this morning. And what triggered that particular rant was I was going to comment on it. And before my comment even posted, Twitter deleted it. And then I had an individual say, "Are you on Spoutable yet?" Yeah, no. Fuck, no. Not just no, but fuck no. Bowsy is shady as fuck. Shady as fuck. An individual who's gone out of his way to target individuals like me. An individual who has repeatedly insulted and belittled and bullied someone for a disability. Yeah, I'm not going to go join their platform. They're no different from the other ones. Don't let them gaslight you into believing anything different. Okay? These people aren't our friends. The only time they get friendly is when they want to use us for something. And if you're asking me if I'm jaded, you bet your fucking ass I am. I am pushing 40 and I've seen way too much shit. Oh, it gets better. Before all of this got started with Moleg, #Moleg, we had an individual post an image I'm going to show you here. Remember, I'm a part of a few communities. This got passed around. So let's go to it, shall we? Again, no edit button, folks. You're going to see some of this stuff because I have to go to my TL to find it. Oh, good. I'm on my TL. It all started here. This got sent around the actually autistic community this morning. It's one of the first things that I saw. You see what it says, don't you? It's all fun and games until I let that autism speak. It's a gun. The puzzle piece. And you see the ribbon there at the base, don't you? Yeah. To say that I was pissed would be an understatement. It has since been brought to my attention that it was a mock thread. But the fact of the matter is, folks, we are so used to being targeted, threatened, doxxed, stalked, watching our fellows be shot and die, watching our fellows be dragged to places like Agape, like JRC, to be tortured, bullied, and abused, that I took it at face value. Because I'm literally used to that kind of level of hatred. I'm used to people threatening my life. I'm used to people even trying to tell me they'll target my family. I have dealt with it for well over a decade. We are so used to the hate that it almost doesn't faze us. It just, we're tired. Very tired. So that's the Twitter TL, folks. This is why I try during these videos to not read it firsthand. But this morning, a little bit of different routine, and voila, I got to read all the hate and stupidity. Ugh. They can chant diversity and inclusion all they want to. But our world is still the hateful, fearful, bigoted place that it's always been. It's always been. Anyone who tries to tell you different is selling you something. All right, let's get to the disclaimers, shall we? I'm going to drink some of my Calmtown / allergies tea. In the description box, you're going to find the link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit. They did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused. So you know the drill, folks. Please read that article and share on all your social media. We also have linked in there NeuroClastic's public statement regards to a defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC actually has the balls to see through with their threat. We also have linked there the Ozark's first article in regards to the Agape boarding school / now known as Stone for Help boarding school situation. This is a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri, that takes in so-called troubled male teens, that has pending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it. Thus far, all claims have been substantiated by the hard evidence gathered by the Missouri Department of Social Services and include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another, a doctor who's still on premises with full access up to boys, up on many, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general who is pursuing an already in danger minority group known as drag queens. And you've got a governor backing them all the way. One wonders what they are why they're stirring up this hate. Trying to cover up something? It seems like it. They never had a problem with the drag queens before, folks. I've lived here for years. Ever. And I was here in the 90s when the evangelicalism got off its legs out here. Yeah. Even back then. No. Now all of a sudden they're a threat. Yeah, I smell a rat. What are you trying to distract us from? What do you want us to not know? Sorry, but they're predictable out here, folks. So please, folks, share that article on all your social media. We also got the other pertinent links to Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject. Jennifer Masumba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, and the ever-present self-explanatory Change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please, folks, use your headphones, all right? All right. This channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity and we speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger, parental supervision is very much advised, all right? All right, trigger warning. We are about to once again descend into the mad ravings of the lunatic mind known as Dr. Matthew Israel. You're going to hear gaslighting, victim blaming, abuse and torture apologencia, lies, pseudoscience, all being touted by an individual with a massive ego and an even larger God complex. So just, be prepared for that, all right? Okay, so where we left off last week, title page, electric shock. At no point does the report distinguish between the use of electric... Oh, no, we went over that last week. Let's go down here. Just remember, folks, that they tried to gaslight us into believing that the MDRI was trying to insinuate it was ECT instead of skin shock, when the report actually and openly calls it skin shock. They also try to gaslight you that, but there's no side effects. You send kids to the ER doctor. I'd call that side effects, and I would call that harm, okay? I grew up around hospitals since before I could walk, folks. Anyone outside of his psychosphere and real medicine would tell you anything that lands a kid in the ER with 2nd and 3rd degree burns is harmful. Logic. And long-term restraint. The JRC's treatment procedures enable students to avoid rather than require mechanical or manual restraint. The data is shown below. Now, doctor, allow me to stop you. Shut up. You, in your own handbook and with your own words, have described how you basically bound and gagged individuals in the vans to go to your school every day. I hardly think that a person strapped up with belts and handcuffs bound into your vehicles to keep them from running away, that's not avoiding manual restraint. Really? Let's see here. You bound them on those chairs. You will shock them in those chairs. You will then tie these individuals to a 4-point board face down with a helmet on and then shock them for hours on end. And you do not consider that restraint? I guess it's only restraint when other people do it, right, doctor? That's hardly avoiding it. No, doctor, you embrace it, but you want so badly to sell these poor people a lie so that they'll send their kids to your school so you can get paid off of our suffering and misery that you will out and out lie, even if we can disprove it with your own fucking words. But let's go on, shall we? If mechanical restraint is used at JRC, it is used only on a partial basis and is designed and implemented in such a way that, although there is enough restraint to keep the individual from hurting him or herself, he or she can still ambulate, sit at his desk, do other academic work, use the computer, etc. Doctor, tell me, what kind of academic work could Andre McCollins do when bound on a 4-point board face down with a helmet on? Do you think he could use the computer at that point? Write? Learn? No. That's called full restraint, doctor. Oh, but let's go on with his lies, shall we? Shall we just? Partial restraint is needed only when a student is so self-abusive that it is necessary to prevent severe self-abuse that could maim the student. See the cases described in the 2 paragraphs. No, doctor, I'm going to stop you. Because that's another lie. Andre McCollins was not a threat to anyone. He was not being aggressive towards anyone. He had done absolutely nothing to require you to slam him on a 4-point board and shock him over and over and over again for over 7 hours. Not removing one's coat does not make one a threat, doctor. He was not abusing himself or anyone else. What about when you've done the same to Jennifer Masumba? She threatened no one. She threatened no abuse against herself. She didn't even do so much as disobey you, but you still bound her on a 4-point board and forced her stripped naked and forcibly bathed on that board where male monitors could watch. That's a lie, doctor. But let's move on. When the student is so unusually violent, dangerous, and strong that it is required in order to keep other students or staff safe, the case in the cover photo. When the student's behaviors improve, the restraint is gradually removed until it's faded away completely. That's a lie, doctor. You want to know how I know that's a lie? Well, I'm glad you asked because it was the same 2010 case that got you booted out of your position as head of the school. Those boys that were both shocked over 72 times each at 85 MPa did not do anything. Literally, in their own notes, those boys did nothing, absolutely nothing wrong. You said that they were being faded off the device at the time and didn't even wear ones anymore. They were still shocked over 72 times, doctor. You can tell me it's a prank phone call all you want to, but you have to question an atmosphere where staff wouldn't even question it. The fact that the staff just automatically went ahead and did it. It tells me you are creating a culture where orders are not supposed to be questioned, regardless of what the data is at hand. You created that environment, doctor. Okay? Please spare me the bullshit. The real truth, folks, is that they will bind and gag these kids for any fucking reason. You could so much as breathe wrong, and that could happen to you. Which, by the way, was corroborated by the New York report and the 2 previous states where you tried to run your psychosphere, in California and Rhode Island. You cannot say that you are trying to save them from a world of restraint while you have them in restraints. You literally roll them in there like they're fucking Hannibal Lecter, like Anthony Hopkins in Silence from the fucking Lambs. You bind and gag them to their seats to prevent them from running away from your psycho asses while in a moving vehicle. But they can move and learn. How, doctor? How is an individual able to move, learn, and be ambulatory when they're bound by all fours? Let's lose some logic here, yes? Okay, as you know, I'm trying to get these videos short and sweet. So what are we learning, folks? The usual. Dr. Matthew Israel is a liar. And a very bad one. He says all of this even though he knew at this point in 2010 that the Autistic Hoya Massive Archive exists. Within that archive, yes, even at that time, we have reports, the New York report, their own video surveillance footage that proves he's a fucking liar. But he's going to keep trying to lie to you anyway. And kind of like with AH and these dumbasses who want to sit there and try to make us to ignore our own eyes and the evidence at hand and just believe. Yeah. No, doctor. No. You are lying throughout the entirety of that paragraph. And whether you want to believe it or not, the GED torture device that you created to put on these children are the same amount of restraint as when you tie them up. That is very much mechanical restraint. This is why police people will use tasers to stop a criminal. Do you know what electric shock does to the human body, doctor? Yeah. It's not exactly going to promote movement. But again, he's a doctor. You got to trust him, right? No, doctor. These are the reasons why we are allowed to sue doctors for malpractice. We're going to go ahead and close on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit those comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you in the next vid.